Hello and good morning and welcome to my class on list and tuple. So before we start, I have already jotted down my points in my notepad and I shall read from it. So what is a list and what is a tuple? List and tuple are arguably Python's most versatile and useful data types. How is it versatile and how is it useful? A list is a collection of arbitrary objects, which is somewhat similar to arrays in other programming languages, but it is more flexible than arrays. Now, list is defined in Python by these square brackets, and each object is separated using a comma. Now, what are the important characteristics of Python, of lists in Python? Lists are ordered. They can have any arbitrary objects and they are accessed by the index. They can be nested, they are mutable, and they are dynamic. What does all this mean? When I say it is ordered, it is an ordered collection of objects. The order in which you specify the elements when you define a list, that is maintained till the list's lifetime gets over. And a list can have any assortment of objects. They can be of the same type, they can be of varying types, and they can even contain complex objects like functions, classes, and modules. A list can have any number of objects from 0 to as much as the computer's memory will allow. A list's object doesn't have to be unique. It can appear multiple times in the same list. Now, an individual list can be accessed by using an index in the square brackets. Now, this is very similar to how you used to access a character in a string in different programming languages. And list indexing is also zero based as it is with string. And what do you mean when you say a list is mutable? So once a list has been created, elements can be added and deleted and they can be shifted and everything with lists. So how can that happen? Because of certain inbuilt functions with respect to lists. So these are some inbuilt functions. The append function will add another object to the end of the list. The list.clear function will remove all the objects, will clear the list completely. List.copy will give you a shallow copy of the list that you have currently copied. List.count.objects. This is used to get the frequency of a particular object in a list. List.extend sequence. So if this will print a particular sequence and that will be extended to your current list. List.index object will give you the lowest index where this particular object appears. List.insert, and in the brackets you have to specify the index and the object. So this particular object will now be inserted in this particular index. List.remove will remove the object. List.reverse will reverse the entire list, and there are many other such functions when it comes to lists in Python. Now there is a small program that I have done to make you understand what lists work as. So this is a program for list, and I'm creating a list of employees with their employee number, their name, and their age, and I've created it for 3 employees. In order to print it, I've used a for loop and I've printed the employee names. Now I want to change the value which is on my 0 index, which is this 101 Ayush 22 to 110 David 22. And now when I print the list after modification and using a for loop, I now get a list but with the particular modifications that have been made. So that is list. Now when we talk about tuple is very identical to the list in all respects except for these following properties. Tuples are defined by enclosing parentheses instead of square brackets. Tuples are immutable, which is very important. You cannot make any modifications or changes in tuple. Everything that we've learned about lists are ordered, and they can have arbitrary objects. They can be indexed and sliced, and they can also be nested, and it is all true for tuples as well. But the only difference is tuples cannot be modified. So I have done another program on tuple, very basic program to make you understand. So this is the tuple program. So I'm getting the input for the tuple from the user, and if the user enters it like this. Even the comma is considered to be an object in the tuple. So if you enter the elements without any spaces or comma, your tuple will be printed like this. And now in order to print it, I use a for loop in the tuple, and I can now print according to the tuple index as to how many what the objects are in the tuple program. So this is the concept of tuple and list.